Laurent, where'd that United jersey go?
Listen, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So then why do you got a fucking grin on your face, bro?
I always have a grin on my face, according
Mm,
to you, right?
mm,
All right.
mm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know you're still excited, right? From the last
Bro, I'm
podcast.
fucking ecstatic.
That's what I want to hear.
We
Yeah.
scored in the Premier League. We haven't scored in the Premier League 2 games. Now we finally scored. Declan Rice.
Hmm.
I got the energy, bro. You're never gonna stop this energy. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay. So exciting result though, versus Manchester United,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
The
Top
team
top
that
club.
shows up
Top club,
and
right?
ex top club, yeah.
Jeez, X.
Ex. I'd say
I
West
mean,
Ham. West Ham's a bigger club right now.
mm,
You know,
so
you know,
then
you know who's a bigger club actually? Nottingham Forest is a bigger club.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. Nottingham Forest is having a good season, right? That we can all agree on. They're
How
having a good
many
season.
Champions League has thing won? United.
What do you mean?
How many Champions Leagues do they have?
Who, United?
Hmm.
Um, I couldn't tell you.
Come on, bro. This is your other team. You got to know this.
Uh, that's funny, but no, I couldn't tell you.
So United have three European
Okay.
Cups, 1968, 1999, and 2008. And I don't even know. CJ,
I think that's the one they took from us.
is it his fourth or fifth? I don't even know what team this is. But anyways, your however number team, Forest have two, 1979 and 1980, back to back.
Mm,
Um, yeah. So
geez, that's some history right there.
yeah, so they are a big club.
Wait, so are they a bigger club than Arsenal? Like, if
By,
you're,
by
well,
those
what
by
do you
those
find?
numbers, sure, you sure
Mm,
we can say that.
mm,
But I mean, if they were a real big club, their fans would actually rock their jerseys or have some apparel or paraphernalia.
that's crazy. Yeah, you're gonna have to find one of their friends on the streets and ask them that.
I know. Hey, Laurent, as a Forest fan, why don't you own anything?
Jeez, that's funny, but I'm not a Northern Forest fan. Listen, just because I have the eye for which team is going to perform and whatnot, does not mean I'm a supporter of that team. You know,
Hmm,
let's just establish that before we move
hmm,
along, right?
hmm.
But yo, why don't you ever have a Chelsea, like dead ass? You never have a Chelsea kit, and I've known you for a long time. I told the viewers, bro, why have I never ever seen you in a Chelsea kit? Do you not have one? Like, just be honest with us.
We can fund one
Jeez.
for you. Don't worry. We can fund one.
I want to hear his answer, legit. I think I've asked him this like 100 times.
My answer will be as such now and going forward. As a fan of the sport and as a fan of the club, right? It is not my duty to prove to anyone or anybody that I'm a supporter. I don't know what's so funny.
Oh,
All
which
all that all that matters truly, right, is that I know I support, right?
Oh,
Is that I know I support the club,
okay.
that I'm behind them, even in the worst of times.
Listen, I don't recall on the episode breakdown discussing it with a lawyer and giving you something to read properly. Where did this come from?
That's crazy. This guy's saying I'm reading off a teleprompter. No, but yeah,
So
no.
yo, do you have a kit? Yes or no? Like, you didn't answer the question.
Do I have a kit?
Yeah, yeah, Chelsea kit for the
Of
team that
course,
you support.
of course, I have a kit.
Okay,
We know he has a
that smile
United
says
kit.
everything.
Wait, if I have a United kit,
No, no, we
is
we
that the
know
next
you have.
question, or
No, no, we know you have one. No, there's no next question. Don't
wait,
worry.
how do you know I have a United kit?
Mm, mm. Okay.
No, it's a serious question.
For the listeners, jump on YouTube. What is this? This is minute 425, around 4 minutes. Just go look at Laurent's face when we ask him if he has a United kit. See, I'm trying to ask it again, and this man tries to put his smile away, but that smile's fucking bleeding through. See, he can't even control it because he knows he has a United kit, an Arsenal kit, actually, I don't know if he has a Forest kit. He probably has a Spurs kit, but no Chelsea, no Forest. I think he has a Liverpool kit too.
That is, y- this is how like people end up like in jail for not having committed crimes. Like you see that like the way people just falsely come out and say these statements, no proof, no evidence. Like
No
you
proof,
know
no
what?
evidence.
Yeah, no proof, no evidence.
So why'd you just look at the United jersey?
Where? Look at it. Where? Like where is this United jersey? Like, you want me to give you a tour? Like, and let's find this United jersey together. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, we've already teased it. Welcome back, viewers and listeners. Episode 7. We got a lot to talk about. We got a new sporting director, Andrea Berta. Um, got to talk about the Arsenal game versus Manchester United at Old Trafford. Go through some of the fixtures in the Premier League, and then look ahead for the second leg of the Champions League. As always, joined by my co-hosts Laurent and CJ.
yep.
Oh man, see, I'm just CJ. Just listen. Just you just talk about it. I don't have much to say. Don't really have much to say.
Is that where we're gonna start, eh? The match earlier today, United versus Arsenal. That's where we're starting.
Yeah, yeah. Would like,
Mm.
yeah. The
Well,
silence is deafening.
earlier today, I told you guys in the group chat that I was like, at that time I was fuming, and my head was hot, and like I was just kind of all over the place watching that game. But I feel like as the days gone on, I've kind of come back down to earth because I'm like, wait, why am I cheese? Like, why am I fuming for anything other than the fact that it's good to beat those type of rivals just for the banter and for the bragging rights. But I mean, the title race was over even before today. It was over a long time ago. We've just been sort of looking forward to the Champions League, but yeah, it's still disappointing because you still want to put in a performance. I literally said this on the last pod that PSV game will be all for what if we don't go and do the same thing to the same level of opponent, respectfully. Because this is literally the worst United team. Probably the three of us, we can easily say this, the worst team that we've all seen in our lifetimes. I mean, they have no attacking intent. Their attacking play right now is coming from Garnacho, who is mid at best, and Xerxes, who, let's be real, he wouldn't get near any of Alex Ferguson's best United teams back in the day. For like we're talking about guys like Xerxes and Hoyland, like what a drop off from United that we know and loved growing up. The Rooneys and the Van Nistelrooys and Ronaldo, like these guys nowadays, Hoyland and
Cantona.
Xerxes. I'm like, bro, these are like mid table level strikers, and it shows with United being mid table, and like we should have gotten the better of them, and they offered not much in the first half at all. Um, I'm looking at the game in the first half, and I was thinking, yeah, this game is going to end 3-0, 3-4-0 in our favor because they just had nothing. But then I remembered, oh shit, we don't have a fucking striker. Um, we dominated the game in midfield completely, though. Like they had a midfield of Bruno, Ericsson, who's about 45 years old, and Casemiro, who's about 48 years old. So our midfield ran the show in the first half, like no problem. They couldn't get near us. Between Partey, Rice, and Odegaard ran the show in midfield in the first half. But obviously, we had no cutting edge. And the more I watch that first half, the more frustrated I was getting with the manager and the ownership and the recruitment. Because whilst we know what happened last summer and in January, or what didn't happen, should I say, I'm just still sitting there like, you guys could have done something about this. Like the way I saw us dominate that first half, all we need is like a striker that puts us 1-0 up, 2-0 up in those situations. And then boom, we're just managing the game for the rest of the game. Put us up 1-0, 2-0 early in the first 15, 20 minutes with a clinical forward or striker, that game is done. And then at that point, it's just like I said, it's a training ground routine. It's managing the game. It's knocking the ball around for the remainder of the top of the match, because we were just so dominant that if you put a team like that, you could like in that first half, they were down and out. Like they don't really have. They're probably focusing on the Europa League because that's all they have left to play for. Like they're not in great form. Their team is not good. Like so if we score early, that could have just knocked them out. That's like you take them out of the match and out of confidence early doors. And then like I said, we just see out the rest of the game and we should be cruising. Right before they scored, I said to you guys in the group chat, I said, the longer we keep these guys in it, they're just gonna get encouragement. They're gonna get confidence. And look what happened. Bruno with a clinical free kick. I want to talk about how that goal came about because our left side was just shambles to start that half. I say shambles. We still dominated, but if they were going to get any joy, it was going to come from our left side. So it honestly reminded me similar to West Ham, where Garnacho was going at Calafiori a lot, and it was starting to worry me. And I was thinking to myself, like before the match started, I wanted Miles to start because let's be honest. At this moment in time, if we have a Champions League final tomorrow or something, I want Miles starting at left back. I don't want Calafiori starting at left back. To me, he's shaky at left back. Calafiori. I worry about him defensively. I really do. And the goal comes from that side. A combination of obviously Trossard and Calafiori's there. And Calafiori maybe not directly involved in this one, but Trossard, bro, like
What
it's
are you
not the first
doing?
time he's done. It's not the first time he's done boneheaded shit and just lost his head and just gives the ball away in the dangerous area, and then he goes and fouls the man. Fair play. You have to foul him at that point, otherwise he's driving in the box. But before the foul, it's like, don't lose the ball in that area. And he's done shit like that time and again. And lo and behold, Bruno steps up, and Bruno puts it away. And I had a vision in my head of once he put that ball down, I said, yeah, this is a goal. I just saw the back of the net bulging before he even scored it because Bruno in that area is clinical. And between the three of us, I want to bring up, uncomfortable conversations. And I think the difference between somebody like Bruno Fernandes and somebody like Odegaard, and I'm giving Odegaard one more season after this one to really prove to me that he's the guy because he's had a couple good seasons the past 2 years. This year he's definitely dropped off when we're going through some adversity. And this is the season where you want to see your captain step up and grab, the reins when your other big players are out, like your Sakas and, whoever else. I want Odegaard to be the guy to step up and take this team. Like he's a captain, you're the leader. Step up, show us something. I don't want to hear excuses of, he doesn't have the Sakas around him. I said this about Martinelli a while back. I said, if another professional footballer needs another player in order to play well, that you shouldn't be a professional footballer. You're a liability at that point. Why do you need other players around you to play well? People are saying, Odegaard doesn't have Saka. And, well, what happened when Saka didn't have Odegaard? Odegaard was out for a month or two with his injury, and Saka still carried the team. If Odegaard needs other players in order to play well, that's a massive red flag to me. And in this period of us losing other creative players and Saka's around us, Odegaard has not stepped up. And that's a concern for me. Why does he play well when the team plays well or when it's a nice sunny day out at the Emirates? Why, when we need him, have I not seen him at all this season? But Bruno Fernandes, who I don't like as a person, personality-wise, I hate rat face. I don't like the guy. He's a scumbag.
Let's keep it civil.
But let's be real. Yeah, I'll try and keep it civil. But he's a football ball on the pitch. He's a baller. Like I said, I hate his face. I hate what he does and how he carries himself. But on the pitch, there's no doubt Bruno is a baller. And we've been kind of having this debate for a while now, and amongst other fans and rival fans and United fans, who's better? This and I used to say hands down, Odegaard. I take Odegaard over Bruno. But Bruno has a clutch gene. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. And we all need to take off our bias hat for a moment and recognize that, fair play, Bruno. Like if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes this season, United would be
in
where
relegation.
Southampton is.
Yeah.
I might be exaggerating a little bit, but Bruno Fernandes, his mentality, he carries United through the mud. When they're down and out, he's the one constant in this team that's just stood up for them all season long. And to me, that's a captain, essentially. That's a leader. That's a captain. He carries them no matter what the circumstances. He doesn't need other players around him to play well because no one else in that team, in that United team, is at his level, but he's carrying them week in, week out. And I haven't seen Odegaard do that for us, not once this season. And when we've lost other players, and it's been telling that when you don't have Saka around you or Ben White or your typical combinations, and it's not a nice sunny day out at the Emirates, you're not performing for us when we need you. And it started to piss me off. And in the second half, he was okay in the first half, but the second half was horrible. Like you see Bruno's free kick in the first half, and then Mehrdad, I don't know if you saw this in the second half. Odegaard had a free kick in a similar area and just hits the wall again.
And like
And
on
then
that,
late in the game,
I don't want, sorry, Steve, just one comment. I'll let you finish it. I do not
yeah,
want any Arsenal fans to make any comments about where the wall was. It makes, sure, it might have given an advantage to Bruno, whatever, but you're a professional footballer. Like, you should be able to get the ball over the wall, even if you can't test the keeper. Like, I don't want to hear any of that comment. Like, oh, because I know some of the players said it in their post-match interview and stuff like that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It wasn't because of that one goal that we lost the game. It wasn't because it was one meter. It wasn't because of any of that. So I don't want to hear it. Sorry, CJ, didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to put that out there. I don't want to
no,
hear it.
it's good.
Don't want to hear
I'm
it.
glad. I'm glad you got that point out there because we don't need to be making excuses at this moment in time. Like that's a poor United side. Even when they go up 1-0, like under normal circumstances, we should expect to go on and still win that game. Like there's no excuse we can make for it. We should have been in that position in the first place. Trossard with this brain dead play, he commits the foul and gives the ball away. That leads to the goal. So there's no excuse that I'm having that, oh, this, that, about the wall. It's a brilliant free kick. Give him his flowers. He does that all the time for them. He steps up. He did it against us in the FA Cup earlier this year in January. Like, fair play. That's what a big time player and a captain should do. And I'm waiting to see a performance like that from Odegaard. Declan Rice, as he's done before for us, his mentality, I spoke about it in the last pod, he stepped up for us. He was massive today, Declan. Him, and I said
Tackle,
this on the last
goal.
pod. Yeah, I said
On
this on
both
the last
ends.
pod too. Yeah. And I said this on the last pod too, that Declan Rice would be him or Gabriel would be my captains, because whenever the chips are down and whenever it looks like we're in the mud, those two just seem to always be carrying us through in terms of, like, not only performance but vocally. They look like they're shouting at guys. They look visibly frustrated. They get stuck into tackles. Like, Odegaard, for me, he doesn't show any personality. Like, he's quiet as a mouse. I don't see him. I don't hear him. When he's not playing well, he's really not playing well. He's out of the game mentally, physically. You don't see him. You don't hear him. It's just dead from him. And that's a huge concern to me. So sorry, guys, I spent a little bit of time ranting about
No.
that, but that's something I feel like we need to address and talk about, because it could be a concern going forward, or it could not be if it's addressed. But we needed to spend some time talking about it. Mehrdad, I don't know what your thoughts are on Odegaard
No,
at
I
the moment.
agree. I agree. I think in today's game, it was very evident that it was Declan Rice carrying the team and Gabriel, because there was one tackle. Gabriel also had, or was it Saliba? I think it was Gabriel on Xerxes when he tackled the ball. They were at the halfway line. If he didn't tackle, it
Mm-hmm.
would have been on a breakaway. And then obviously Declan Rice, the tackle on Bruno. No, it wasn't on Bruno. Was it on Hoyland in the
Hoyland,
I think it's
box?
on
Hoyland,
Hoyland. Yeah,
It was on
yeah.
Hoyland. He's the one who scored the goal. You're starting to see that shift where like I understand people saying, oh, we don't want to be overly emotional, yada yada yada. We want to kind of keep things professional, but sometimes a little bit of emotion is what you need to get yourself over the line and to kind of get people rising up. Um, I think it was last game against PSV after the first goal, Gabriel and Declan were kind of like going back and forth, and then after the goal, like Declan like hugged him and kissed him on the cheek, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's keep going. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see our players like arguing and like being like, okay, we did it, let's move on. Like that's a competitive edge that we're looking at. I think I do like bias aside. I do think Martin Odegaard is more talented than Bruno Fernandes. However, I don't think in big games he steps up to the plate the way Bruno wakes up. You've heard Gary Neville, you've heard Roy Keane, even Jamie Carragher say if there's one team that would get into if there's one player that would get into Ferguson's teams, it is Bruno Fernandes, just purely on talent. right? Maybe the mentality piece. I don't think he's captain material, to be honest with you. I just think he's a very good player that steps up to the occasion, right? Mateus Cunha is like that. He steps up to the occasion. Muhammad Kudus, he's been doing that. Jared Bowen, right? They just have that it factor. And right now we don't have a player like that playing currently. That it factor player is Bukayo Saka. When Odegaard was gone, who actually stepped up? Who carried the team? It was Saka. I do agree though, the uncomfortable conversations need to be had because like for me, I would prefer the captain to be Gabriel over Rice and like Rice be the second. I just think they're like as good as class as Saliba is, I think Gabriel does not get enough credit for how he controls that back line. And Saliba is great. Saliba is amazing. He's obviously younger and he's developing and he hasn't peaked yet. But Gabriel is just like next level. The way that he's demanding, he's control like he's just dominant. Um on a little bit of a more positive note, David Raya, holy shit.
Yeah,
He wow.
yeah,
If it
stepped up
wasn't
for
for
sure.
him, if it wasn't for him, I'm honestly comfortable with saying that it would have been 3-1, maybe even 4-1 United.
And some would say actually he was a little bit to one side on the goal, the free kick that Bruno
Hmm.
scored. Like he actually his positioning wasn't great. He could have been a little bit better in his positioning. Like he almost trusted his wall a little bit too much, and he was very much to the far side. So Bruno just said thank you very much and put it where he put it. So there was question marks about his positioning for the goal. But after that, yeah, he was fantastic for the rest of the game. That whole second half, yeah, if it wasn't for him, we lose that game. He's had a really good season, Raya, for sure. He's
Yeah.
definitely established himself as one of the best keepers in the league.
Um, Elephant in the room, which really isn't an elephant. The title race has been over. Like I don't want to hear anything about the title race. Sure, we have one game in hand. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's 15 points. Like it does not matter. I know some Chelsea fans are saying, "Oh, well, you saw what happened to Steven Gerrard. We're up by like 10 around this time." Yeah, yeah, 10 points. Sure, whatever. This is 15 points. And it's also not what Liverpool's gonna do, it's what Arsenal cannot do. That's
Yeah.
I think that's what at least you and I, CJ, have been talking about. It's not a matter of us thinking Liverpool cannot drop points. I think Liverpool will drop points, but it's not a matter of them dropping points. It's a matter of will Arsenal actually capitalize? And honestly, they will not. They will not. We've seen it throughout the year. Like Liverpool have had 7 draws. Where do we take advantage of that? I'm not saying that we should have won, 7 more games than we have. Like we're on 15 wins, 10 draws, 3 losses. But out of those 7 draws, if we made 10 out of our 10 draws, if we made that, the same thing as Liverpool, if we won 3 more games, that would have been 18 wins. Just kind of changes the entire collection of the season. So um really disappointing today.
10 draws. We really have 10 draws.
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
really, really disappointing. And it's
Yeah,
not
like a
the
couple of those you turn into wins.
yeah,
A couple of
exactly.
those you turn into wins and we're closer. Like that's the big difference, man. Like three, four of those you turn into wins. That's what? How many extra points? Eight,
Well,
eight, nine, 10 points
like
potentially?
we can
Like,
give some context. Like one of them was a City one where Trossard got a red card. There was one. There was the Miles Lewis Skelly one. Like there's been games where you can give it some context, but then there's like the Everton game. There's
yeah.
games that there's no
There's
business.
shot
Like
ourselves in the foot on a few of these.
yeah, there's no business. Like even this United game, I'm looking at some of the draws. Like Aston Villa, we are up 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no business for us being a
Yep.
draw. Brighton, Everton at
Fulham.
home. Everton at home.
That
Nil
was that
nil.
was a bad one. Zero
You know what I
zero.
mean? Like,
Fulham away.
yeah, like even Liverpool at home. Like, yes, Liverpool are a good team, but like we were up. We were up. We collapsed. Right? even beginning of this season, Brighton at home draw 1-1. That was the Declan Rice red
Yep.
card. So like that's like there's some
Yep.
context to a couple of these, but again, 10 draws, like you can't justify 10. Cannot
No.
justify 10. Um,
At this point, I'm not too fussed about where we finish. Like, obviously, still, as long as we get Champions League football, which, surprise, surprise, that'll make our ownership happy. But we can finish second, we can finish third, we can finish fourth. What does it mean at the end of the day if we're still in that top four spot? Like, cool, but bro, second, I don't care to finish second again. Like, if anything, that looks even worse. That's even more painful because it's like, oh, you finish second again, just behind the winners. Directly below the winners is Arsenal for the third year running. Like, what is that?
yeah.
What? I don't hear progress. I don't want to hear like we stayed stagnant. If anything, we've gone worse than previous years. Because we did say again, context, when all the conversations were happening at the beginning of the season, if Arteta and Arsenal don't win the league, but they still finish, they still finish close or within touching distance of Liverpool or City, we thought it was going to
City.
be City at the time. If they stay close or touching distance again, then yeah, fair play, give them another chance, and like we'll go again. Bro, this year has shown me a lot. I said this year is really we're gonna see a lot of people get exposed this season. How much do we really want it? How are these players good enough? Is the manager good enough? There's got to be a whole shakeup. I think starting with the players, fair enough. Like Arteta's not going to go, so we can accept that. He's not gonna get sacked or anything like that. But if we're gonna go again this next season, the shakeup's gonna have to start with the players. We're gonna need some big signings in the summer, which will lead us on nicely to the new sporting director that we're going to talk
Yeah.
about shortly. But yeah, it's like we're going to need to go again, and many people are a lot more patient than I am for sure. But even some of the most patient and optimistic people are now actually saying, all right, well, next year is there's no excuses next year. We got to get it right this summer, and we're giving the team, the manager, everybody one more season next year. It has to be the year to see what we're really about.
Yeah. I mean, that segue is really good to Andrea Berta, the new sporting director for Arsenal. He's been with Atletico Madrid. He has a very good track record. Some quick facts. La Liga titles. He's won two titles with um, Atletico Madrid, and Europa League. He did win it in 2012, and in the Champions League, he had two final appearances, 2014 and 2016. Just some like quick signings: Jan Oblak, Antoine Griezmann, Rodri, Luis Suarez, Julian Alvarez, most recently, Mateus Cunha, Alvaro Morata, Diego Costa, Musa Dembele. So the shakeup that you were talking about and kind of being ruthless. Um, this is the type of sporting director that we need. I think Edu did an amazing job, but I think as much as I trust in Arteta or trusted in Arteta, I think he maybe pushed Edu to go, or like I think there maybe was a little bit of conflict that hasn't come out yet. But I don't think Andrea Berta will be like that because I think he's proven himself longer than Arteta, and the types of players that he signed, it's there for show. Like there's zero excuse now. And apparently he's looking at Lautaro Martinez already to bring him in. Okay. Like do what you will. I don't know if I want to be building the Real Sociedad team again when bringing in Alexander Isak, but yeah, Lautaro Martinez, sure. But we don't just need one. We need maybe two, three forwards. You know, we need another midfielder because if we're letting Jorginho and Partey go and we're only bringing in Zubamendi, this might be a conversation for us to do adjourn over the oh my God, what's it called? The international break.
International.
But yeah, it, like I think this Andrea Berta, I think he's going to be ruthless, and I think the types of players that he's going to go after with his strategic signings and the way that he did it in Atletico Madrid. Like you got to remember, he was going against Barcelona, the Lionel Messi Barcelona, and the Cristiano Ronaldo. Gareth Bale, Benzema, Real Madrid. Like when they won the league, the most recent league that they won, I believe it was 2020, 2021. Like that's not that's not anything to scoff at. He's and to get to two Champions League finals. Again, that was when Bayern Munich 2014, 2016. Like that was the like remember at York when we were watch Bayern slap Arsenal? Like that was the Bayern team. That was the Barca team. That was the as much as I hate to say it, that was the Chelsea teams, right? It wasn't something that he came with. I think it's like, oh, he's just winning the French league. No, 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 no. This is La Liga. So I don't know. I'm happy with the appointment. I think it's gonna be really good for us. I think it's gonna really challenge Arteta though, because I don't think he's gonna like not having full control.
Yeah, I think actually that's what we need. We need somebody like on this Andrea Berta to come in, and I'm actually very surprised that the ownership and whoever else that makes these type of decisions, would have signed off on someone like this. Because for the longest time, sometimes there's been this narrative that Arsenal's too nice of a club, not as ambitious, doesn't really go for the jugular in terms of ruthless managers, ruthless characters in terms of players. And, and now it looks like we've got a character in Andrea Berta who is that ruthless character. He's worked alongside Diego Simeone. Like, you gotta be a guy to work alongside Diego Simeone. That guy doesn't play either as a manager. So yeah, I think definitely that's going to be a good appointment for us. Like I'm very surprised and I'm very happy. I know it's not officially announced, but all the big journalists and whatnot have confirmed it essentially. So it seems like it's imminent, but
Yeah.
that is a massive sign. That could be one of the biggest signings for the club in recent times, up there with the Declan Rices and so on, because this position, this sporting director position, is very important for the club. We need somebody who's been there, done that, to help guys like Arteta and the recruitment team to get big players in. Imagine the contacts and the connects that this guy has.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we can snap him up when other big clubs would have looked at him, or I don't know what went wrong with him at Atletico as to why he's leaving, but I don't care. Like, at
Okay,
this moment in
Lance.
time, I don't care. We need some, out of all the candidates that we were linked with, he was the best one with the most proven track record, with the most experience. And yeah, his character, like again, I'm surprised that his character is wanted by our club, because we're deemed
He's
as
not a
too
yes
soft
man.
sometimes.
That's the thing. He's not a
That's
yes man. He's
that's
not an
exactly it.
Edu. He's not a as much as I love Arsene Wenger, he's not a yes man. Like I
Yeah.
was scared that they were gonna go with Jason Ato because he seemed like a yes man. Um, but when I saw this was like a real link, I was like, oh shit. Maybe, and again, they haven't shown us at all for me to say anything like this. Maybe Josh Kroenke's telling his dad, like, yo, if we want to keep this club happy and the fan base happy, we got to put up or shut up. Who knows? And I don't. They have like. Let me be very clear. The Kroenkes have not proven it yet. So like, I'm just going out on the limb saying this, trying to be the optimist, because this is a huge move. This is a huge move.
Huge, yeah. I'm very, like I said, I'm very surprised that they would appoint somebody like this, because he's going to come in and he's going to challenge everybody. We know this. Like he's not going to sit there, and take shit. Like he's going to challenge the manager. He's going to challenge the recruitment team, the owners. He's not going to come in and take shit. So yeah, I'm very surprised, but I'm very happy and pleasantly surprised with this first appointment. And this is a building block now. And honestly, my mind, I'm sure your mind is already too, as well, Mehrdad. My mind is already on the summer. Our Premier League season is over. Our Champions League season could be over imminently by the middle of next month. So yeah, I have one eye on the summer, and this appointment has already kind of got me, thinking in the summer and what our recruitment's going to look like. And if there's anything that Arsenal fans need right now, is something to look forward to, and this appointment I think will help give us something to look forward to in terms of what our summer can now look like for recruitment and so on.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
sorry to
Well, yeah.
to interrupt, but when you guys say that the season is over, so I mean, what exactly does that mean for you guys, right? Obviously, in terms of points, right? Mathematically, you guys are still in it, I believe, right? Um, but if we're being real, right? It's over in that sense. But I don't know if you guys remember a few episodes back. I think you guys asked me. I forgot what the question was, but my answer was that Arsenal and Arteta would need to finish the season strong. Okay, despite right us seeing that realistically the title is out of the way, right? But it's still important to finish strong. Earlier in the episode, CJ, you mentioned, well, you couldn't care less if we finish second, third, fourth, or right, so long as you're in the top four, kind of thing, right? Um, so yeah, so that's what I mean, like in regards to right, like what do you guys mean by that, right? Because you still have to, you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, I think it's very important to, right, despite the fact that, it's pretty much right out of the question in terms of the title for this year, but in terms of even showing character, right, for the club, um, I think every game has to be played as if there's still a chance to win it, Um, and yeah, because I think like even these small things that it's very, very easy to discount. I think these are the things that shape the identity of a club. So then when you guys talk about, well, this rebuild, right? This potential rebuild from this key player that's coming in, right? But it's like all of that, you factor in the identity, right? Like of the club and all that, and that's what eventually leads to, right, future success, right? So if we start discounting these, these games because, well, we were not going to win the title, it's whatever, right? It's like, is that really right the way to, build a team that's going to win like X amount of championships into the future, right? And you have one bad season and suddenly you kind of just like wave the white flag, like
I don't think I don't think from a player standpoint they're gonna concede and stop trying. But I think from
hmm
a fan standpoint, like there's only so much that a fan can take and care. Um,
mm,
I don't think Arteta is gonna let off the gas pedal.
hmm
I think if anything, he's gonna go into this PSV game, even though it's 7-1. I think he's gonna try to make a statement win and like get them up for the Chelsea game that's coming up after that.
mm,
Um, but I think from a fan standpoint, listen, I'm still upset for with what happened today. Not in the sense for the title race, but just for it being like like it's Manchester United. Like next week when it's Chelsea. Like these are big games. Like you have to go in there and make a statement, not for the title race or anything. Even if we weren't in the title race, like even if let's just say we were like fourth or fifth, and things like let's just say top four was out of the question at that time. Like I wouldn't care about that. It's like these are the big games. These are the bragging right moments. Yes,
mm,
we didn't technically lose, but like this is the worst United team that we will see in a very long time,
right, right.
right?
No, so
So
yeah, like I do agree with that, right? So that's why I feel like even um as a one fan of another club to another fan, right? I feel like, I gotta remind you guys, hey, don't let your team off the hook. You see what I'm saying? Um, under these circumstances, right? Because it's very easy, right? As you're saying, as a fan, we'll wait till next season, right? It's like I think fans should still be demanding, right? Every game, performance, 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 until the end, right? And then my other question would be, well, on the back of that massive performance earlier in the week, what went wrong? Like, what was the difference?
the low block. Simply, it was just the low block. PSU didn't execute the low block, and it didn't play with a low block.
Mm. And CJ, you would agree with that?
Um, yes, actually, to a certain extent, yes, I would agree. They obviously didn't give us the spaces that PSV gave us. Like PSV was shambolic defensively.
Mm.
Um, and but we did still have openings against United, to be honest, that we just didn't make the most out of. Like we just weren't, productive enough in the final third. Whether that was misplaced passes once we got into the 18-yard box, or a couple shots that we had that went just wide. Like Marino had a shot that went just wide in the first half.
Mhm.
Declan Rice had a couple of chances where he could have slipped somebody in. I think it was Trossard in when we got into the box, but the pass wasn't there. Just went rolling out of bounds. So there were chances, there was openings that we didn't execute on. So we definitely weren't as clinical as we were against PSV. I don't know if that, again, the opposition has something to do with it. It's Manchester United, it's Old Trafford, there's a little bit more pressure in the Premier League. But yeah, definitely, as Mehrdad said, obviously United defended with more of a lower block than what PSV did, to be honest. But I think definitely that would have been the one of the big factors again for sure. I want to go back to what your thing about their first question because I didn't get to answer it. Well, can you repeat it again? Like what was your question?
Yeah,
Just want
so
to make sure I
essentially,
answer it properly.
yeah, no, so essentially, right, I just wanted to clarify the points that were being made in regards to, well, right, the season's over. So it's like, who cares if we finish second, third, fourth, right?
Mhm.
So long as we get the Champions League, which to me felt like, well, you can excuse then just any sort of performance, right? From your club, essentially, right? Uh, yeah, because it's like, well, what is there to play for anymore, right? So you just play for what you can get, and if they, right, meet that new standard, right, that as fans you guys are giving them, yeah, it's okay, right? And then we have next season to worry about, right? So I just wanted to know why you guys would, think that way, right? As opposed to demanding excellent performance throughout to the final game, right? Even if you're not title contending, right? Because like I said, in terms of identity and using that, right? Like, because I feel like even when you guys love to mention Real Madrid, right? And when you look at that, right, the fact that they always perform, even when they're having these bad games in the Champions League. I don't know if you remember, there was like one season where it's like they were playing bad most games, and somehow they made it through. And I think they even won that same league, right? And they had some tough oppositions, right? I think they even faced our club, Chelsea. We were up how many goals? Somehow they came back and they beat us. But that to me, it's all culture identity from a club. You see what I'm saying? And it's those small things that I feel is what shapes clubs, right? Like that. So that's why I wanted to know why you guys felt that, because
Mhm.
the season was over in that sense, that you guys can just excuse, performance from your players.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, first, yeah. So I did want to answer that quickly. Um, the first thing I'll say quickly on the Real Madrid thing,
Mm,
the answer to that, superstars. They have superstars. We don't. Like Real Madrid, their superstars will get them through. I remember that tie you were talking about with Chelsea when Chelsea looked like they had it, and then the dying minutes, I think Real Madrid scored one or two quick goals, and then with a blink of an eye, Chelsea was out. So obviously with the Real Madrid factor, that's always what it comes down to is the superstars that can just bail you out of anything.
mm,
Um, from the Arsenal perspective, I'm very glad you asked that question. And the reason why I said what I said was because obviously, as Mehrdad said as well, the professionals, the players have to keep it professional for sure. Like they're not going to go out and down tools and just act like they're on the beach and not perform. Like they have to keep it professional, 100%. You know, some of their wages and bonuses depend on that, on their performances and things like that. So they can't visibly go out there and show a lack of professionalism. From a fan's perspective, yeah, I stand on that. To me, second is no different now than third or fourth, and I can care less because for me, it's almost like you go out and perform and show us now that you're going to perform to finish second when the pressure's off. Oh, like yeah, you guys can show us that you can do it, and yeah, let's keep this level high and this energy high, and we're playing with no freedom and no pressure now, but let's finish the season on a high. And oh yes, it's not going to end in any trophies or anything, but we're going to show and give that almost facade that I'm being harsh, but like almost a facade, almost this false sense of security, like oh we're good enough to go again next season. All we need to do is just get our players back fit and healthy. No, the reality of the situation is even if our players were fit and healthy, we were still not good enough to win this Premier League. There's certain recruitment needed in certain areas in order for us to be as good as a Liverpool or a Man City. Um, and I can't be having the whole, oh, okay, we finished the season on a high because what else does that do for the Cronkies? Oh, you guys finished the season well, so maybe we don't need to spend as much money
Yeah.
in certain areas. Maybe it was just a little bit of a blip. Maybe you just had injured players. So the Cronkies and the ownership can be thinking, oh, let's save some money because we look like we're in good form and we're in good shape going ahead into next season. So we don't need to spend all this money, really. It was just unlucky, and we'll just go again with what we have, like we did last summer when we didn't spend money in the attacking areas, even though we got knocked out to Bayern Munich because we couldn't score at the Allianz Arena in the second leg. And even though we lost 2-0 at home to Villa, which cost us the league last season, but we couldn't score if we played until today, mind you. But, we couldn't score in those two games. And those two games cost us our Champions League and cost us the Premier League last season. And we still decided to go with what we had going into this season. Again, I said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. None of that. We took a massive gamble in the summer by not assigning and reinforcing in our attacking areas because that was the first priority that needed to be addressed. We didn't do that, and then obviously we didn't do it again in January, which is even more shocking. And so, for me, I never want my club to lose games and to do poorly. But for me, I will sacrifice the bigger picture if it means making a statement to the manager and to the ownership and to the powers that be. If we finish third or fourth, they will definitely wake up and see, oh shit, maybe we're slipping down the table a little bit. Yes, we still just got Champions League, but we're not in second anymore. We're showing not progression, but a little bit of regression. We're going down the table a little bit. So maybe we do need to act and be a little bit on our toes. Maybe we do really need these recruitments in the summer because, or else we're just going to fall down and fall behind. And that's what I would hope that they would recognize if we didn't finish second. Because let's be honest, Arsenal is in danger of getting caught at the moment by the teams behind us. We're now in the top four battle, honestly. So, with us, if we were to finish like a third or a fourth and just scrape Champions League, like I said, that may be the eye opener that the powers that be at this club will need to actually promise us that big summer and war chest and spending. They say this is going to be an unprecedented summer. That's what the journalists and the big Arsenal connected people are coming out and saying right now, that this is going to be an unprecedented summer. We've never seen summer like this before in terms of the spending and the money that we're going to do. Okay, so put up or shut up. Put your money where your mouth is. If we have a miserable end to the season, but just scramble over top four, or if we finish third even or whatever, that'll be a visible sign of regression, right? So that would hopefully kick the players, not the players, because the players can do all they can do. That'll hopefully kick the manager up the backside and the ownership, and mostly the manager, because I think Arteta does want to win, mind you, but he will he's guilty of being a little bit of a yes man as well to the owners. He's called the owners the best owners he's ever worked with and so on and so forth. Like, nah, sometimes just call it out how it is. If the owners are not backing or supporting you, you need to knock on the door and say, I need more or I'm walking out. Arteta should be demanding something like that because he can get a job somewhere else. Arteta, he can. And so I do believe that he wants to win. And if he needs the tools to win, to be successful, then he needs to demand from the owners as well. So I think, I don't know if you saw the press conference today, Mehrdad. Arteta was pissed. The interviewer asked him about the title race and he wanted none of it. He walked out. Just a week ago, Arteta said, over my dead body will I be giving up on the title race. And today, a week later, when the interviewer asked him about the title race, Arteta walks out and he didn't want anything to do with it. He ended his interview and his press conference right there because he didn't want to talk about a title race because he's probably embarrassed. Because last week he said, over my dead body are we giving up on the title race? And since he's made those comments, we've played 2 games, haven't won, and Liverpool's increased the gap even further. So if anyone asked Arteta about the title race now, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's probably embarrassed to talk about it because he just made those comments last week. And this week we've fallen further behind. So he's probably embarrassed a little bit, and he's not going to be happy and satisfied with this season. He's going to want to win. I'm sure he will. So I'm beating around the bush, but the general point is that, yes, like if he sees and the club sees and the ownership and everybody sees that, shit, we're not progressing and, we're actually maybe be staying stagnant or like a little bit of regression in terms of a league position. Yes, we still got Champions League, but we only just got it, or we finished third or we finished fourth. That might help be the kick up the backside that everybody needs to wake the hell up, in my opinion. That's why I say what I say.
Okay.
Well, on that top four race, we're fighting with Forest, Chelsea, City, and I would even say Brighton and Villa. Forest stole, I would say, stole a victory over City. I don't think they did much, but they were clinical when they had to be, and the ex Chelsea Academy boy Callum Hudson-Odoi wins it for them. Um, so I guess they're looking. They're sitting on 51 points. They're still 4 behind Arsenal, but it looks like Champions League is going to be something for real for them. Um, Liverpool, I don't even know. 3-1 over Southampton. They were down 1-0, and then apparently Slot said something to them at halftime, and they just came back. 2 penalties for Mo Salah. He's just having a crazy year. 27 goals, 17 assists. Like, we don't have anything like that. The fact that Bukayo Saka is still tied for second for assist and being missing so many games is ridiculous in itself. So there isn't really much to say there. But Aaron Ramsdale, ex PFA Team of the Year goalkeeper, he's confirmed to be relegated. So I'm very curious to see where he's going to go next year. Um, Palace. Ismail Sarr has been killing it. 2, 3 games. Like that last little bit of pace. I don't know if you guys saw his goal when he got the ball and he just kicked it forward and went jumped on it. Like he's been killing it. Um, they win it over with Ipswich. Eddie Nketiah, he had a beautiful chance within the first 2 minutes to put it away, but again, you know, he's just not clinical. Like I think if he had stayed in the club, he would have had a lot of playing time. But I think we still would have had the same conversations. He's just not clinical. He's just not clinical. Someone who is clinical, Eze. I don't know about you, CJ, but I would love Eze on Arsenal. I think he can play in the front three. Maybe not as a center forward, maybe as a false nine. He can
Hmm.
play the left eight. He can play the right eight. Um, he he's like on a Palace team that doesn't have Elise anymore and Mateta's injured long term. He's just he's making that offense tick. Kind of comes back
Yeah.
to what you said about Odegaard, right? Like look at the players that Eze has around him and look at the players Odegaard has around him. Maybe just playing devil's advocate, maybe it comes down to like the pressure being at a Palace versus Arsenal, sure, but you were at Madrid. And as much as I love Arsenal, there's levels to it, right? I don't think Arsenal is anywhere near Real Madrid. Um, Brighton, that was a very shady call. They João Pedro, I don't know if you guys saw it, he got a penalty at like last minute of extra
Yeah,
time.
I did see it. Yeah.
That was I don't know. I mean, he still put it away. But again, João Pedro, if we can't get Lautaro Martinez, we can't get Alexander Isak. João Pedro has been quietly having a very, very good year. He sometimes shares minutes with Danny Welbeck, but João Pedro's been decent. 8 goals. Yeah, he's had a couple injuries. He's clinical.
Brighton
Um,
making a push for Europe.
yeah, they are. They are. They're sitting on 46 points. So they're right there. They're 1 point behind City. They're 3 points behind Chelsea, sitting at fourth. So looks like Europe's going to be something that they're going to be fighting for. So hey, good for them. Someone who's chasing them down, Villa. They beat Brentford away to continue the pressure for top four. Again, I didn't expect this. I actually thought Brentford were going to win because Villa's been a little shady after the Champions League games midweek, just with that lack of depth. But hey, Ollie Watkins, I believe he was a goal scorer, secured the win for them. So now they're
It's a good
sitting,
victory for them.
yeah, very good because now they're in the middle of
Yeah.
the pack, right? Sitting seventh, 45 points, and I'm pretty sure with the coefficient, we'll end up getting 5 spots in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then. Sixth spot will be Europa, seventh spot will be Conference League. So I think they're gonna secure European spot again. Um,
No,
well,
I want to say this quickly. Sorry,
no,
before we continue. I think personally, if there's any chance of us getting an Alexander Isak, and I know Newcastle play tomorrow, so they have a chance to creep up a little bit. But if there's any chance of us getting Isak or of him moving this summer at all, we need them to finish outside of a Champions League spot.
yep.
Because I think that's one thing he said that he wants is Champions League football. So yeah, if there's any chance for us this summer, we need to hope that Newcastle don't get in that Champions League spot at all.
Well, even if they win, they'll be tied with City on 47 points, but they'll be behind City in sixth spot in Europa because of goal difference. City is
Mm.
plus 15 and Newcastle is plus 8. And I think what's going to hurt them to get that goal differential up is no Anthony Gordon because he's out for 3 games because of his red card. Um, Wolves, first game without Mateus Cunha. I mean, speaks for itself. They drew 1-1. There's no creativity. There's no edge. Mateus Cunha was one of the signings for Andrea Berta. He's a Diego Simeone type player, right? You saw what he did on the right wing, left wing when he was in Atleti. Um, but two more games, and this is a big stretch with for Wolves, right? Like I think they're safe. They're 6 points ahead of Ipswich, but they could have just secured it. But it looks like Wolves are probably going to stay up. Spurs, Spurs being Spursy. Um, Spurs being Spursy. They go down 2-0, but they come back to draw. Sets up a huge game for them this Thursday in Europa League. Did they deserve to lose the game in Europa League? Maybe not because it was a Bergvall own goal, but still, it's yeah, huge game for them to come back in the fashion that they did as well, like coming back from 2 goals. I think that's going to do good for their confidence going into Thursday. Um, Laurent, you take it away. Marc Cucurella, 60th minute. Were
Hmm.
you sweating?
No. Nah, man. Told you my window's always open, so you know.
So can we just take a moment? Like I know I breezed through the other game, but I just want to get to this game and just take a moment. 22nd minute, the penalty merchant gets a penalty. Hasn't scored for what, 7 games, 6 games, 7 games,
Yep.
ruining my fantasy football team. What's going on with the penalty merchant? Did the leprechaun leave his pocket? Like why can't he score?
Honestly, I think it's just a slight loss in confidence, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I think that's what it just comes down to, right? And also sometimes when you have that drought, and now you're almost like you're forcing things, in my opinion. Even like when watched some of his games before that, when he wasn't scoring, there's chances where you're trying to go in alone.
Hmm.
The smart play, right? The high probability play would be to, pass it off, lay it off, and allow someone else to score. But no, he's trying to force these goals, right? And then you don't make them, right? And again, I think that factors in. But funny enough, like usually when you're in that spot, sometimes it's allowing like your other players to get involved, right? To play, to assist. But I know in his case, there's actually a stat in regards to Cole Palmer where the number of chances that other players have missed has caused him to not get those assists. You see what I'm saying? Like he's making those passes, right?
Yeah, you saw in the
The
Southampton game, there was a
yeah,
few passes that he made into the box. And I think
right.
Neto was one of them that he missed. I think Nkunku missed one.
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, not Trevor Chalobah, was it was it Fofana? One of the other defenders. I think he missed the chance as well. He is still involved, but when he got because I was watching a little bit of that game today. When he got that penalty, I was like, man, there he goes. He's gonna score, and then he's gonna be hot against Arsenal.
Mm,
And if he gets hot, we're screwed because we can't. If they score first, like you saw how long it took us to break down United, and I would say Chelsea is leaps and bounds better than United.
yeah.
So. But yeah, no, they're your boys are hanging in tough. They're 2 points behind Forest for third place, 2 points ahead of City and 3 points ahead of Forest. Sorry, Brighton. So looks like I mean they're gonna have some European football, but they gotta win a couple more games to secure Champions League, which I think that's what Maresca really wants to be able to spend more money, to get that number 9 that everyone's looking for.
Yeah, no. But for me, I want the club, obviously, right? First, right, would be the best outcome. But at this point, second is where I would love for us to finish. I don't know why you guys are laughing, but not being dead serious. Like for us, right?
You think you guys have a chance of finishing second this year?
Six
Yeah.
points behind Arsenal.
I mean, our next game is versus you guys, right? So let's say
Hmm.
we do get a result on that. We're now at 52 points, so that's one game behind. Yeah, one game behind. The goal difference isn't too bad. It's a bit wide, but at that
A
point, it
bit
just comes down to
wide. +11, my friend. A bit wide.
no, no, it's a bit yeah that's a bit wide, but mind you, right? You never know. We can score. We can score, right? We've had our games where we can score.
Of course.
So now it really, I think, in terms of us not finishing second, I think it comes down to what Arsenal do at this point. Um,
But you
yeah.
guys have some big games coming up. Like you guys face us next, albeit,
Mhm.
oh, sorry, it's at the Emirates. Then you guys face Spurs at home. You got Brentford away, which is a tough game. You got Fulham away. You got Liverpool at home. You got Newcastle away, United at home, and Forest to finish the year. So those aren't
Man, that's
easy
a tough
games.
schedule.
Like
Holy.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
guys got Arsenal, Spurs, Brentford, Ipswich, Fulham, Everton, Liverpool, Newcastle, United, Forest. Like your last four games of the year, to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this because you're a Chelsea fan, you'll be lucky to get 6 points out of that.
Hey man, at this point, to me, it all comes down to our manager, right? Even above the manager. And like I said, right, what are we working to towards for the future, right? So we just go out there, right? You take it one game at a time, and Can we win those games? Yes, in my
100%.
opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
in my opinion, yeah, we can definitely win those games. So,
Yeah.
I just trust that there's a system in place, right? And these guys, the game plan, they know what to do come game day, and that we get the results, right?
Yeah.
So, but my expectations
Um,
for my club does not lower, no matter, you know, no matter the what we're playing for. Essentially, is what I'm saying.
That would
tomorrow.
be progress
Oh,
for Chelsea.
Oh
Second
yeah,
place would be progress for Chelsea. Yeah,
yeah,
considered
yeah,
for the season and where you guys are at, yeah, that would be progress.
definitely, definitely.
it'd be a good finish to the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a good finish to the year. Um, do you fellas give West Ham any chance tomorrow versus Newcastle? They are at London Stadium. No Anthony Gordon.
Mm, I still feel like Newcastle will win that one. Isak is playing. If Isak is fit and he's playing, they have a chance in almost every game they play.
Yeah. And West Ham are pretty much secured for the Premier League because they're on 33 points, 10 points ahead of Wolves. Um, and they're well ahead. They're 16 points ahead of Ipswich. So yeah, I don't really give them a chance. Going into the European games now. United, they got Sociedad on Thursday at Old Trafford. They had a good result against Arsenal. Obviously, we just spent some time talking about it. It's going to be a big game for them. They have to win the tie to move on. I think Sociedad is one of the toughest teams that's left next to, as much as I hate to say it, Spurs, Rangers, um, and I think if United go through, I think they can go far. But again, the performance that they had today, Sociedad do have a striker that's better than Arsenal. So who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Um, Spurs, again, another good performance for them, even though they didn't win against Bournemouth, coming back from 2-0. Ange said it in his post-match conference. They said that Spurs, the players have to show the same heart against AZ Alkmaar to come back from a 1-0 deficit. They're playing at home. I genuinely like I think Spurs are going to easily win this. I don't know if you guys have any other opinions differing from that. I think Spurs are going to walk breeze by um, and move on to the next round.
Hmm. I don't know about easily, but they'll probably stumble over the line, in my opinion. Just
If they don't, it's going to
they like,
be like remember Andrew a couple I think it was like a month and a half ago he said I always win in my second year.
yeah.
If this is his chance, this is his only chance to win something.
Same with United. I think they'll probably just stumble over the line too and get over against Sociedad. I don't know. That one's tough to call actually, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if United find their way through that tie.
Yeah. I think the Spurs one is more like I would be more confident in predicting Spurs winning than United because Sociedad like they do have European pedigree. Um I mean Spurs are Spurs. They can watch them lose 4-0 now that we said that.
Right.
Your boys,
Yes,
Chelsea,
sir. Eu-
Chelsea.
European
Um,
titles.
European titles,
European
baby.
titles.
Conference League.
Hmm.
Um, I think you guys are through. It doesn't matter. You guys are 2-1 going home, face Copenhagen. I think you guys are the clear-cut favorites to win the whole thing. So I don't predict anything aside from a Chelsea beatdown. That's all I
So
predict.
long as our game management is on point in my for me, right? I think that's the most important. And like I said, that's one of the things that's been lacking for us is game management. Meaning that if we do not manage this game well, you know, it's football, right? And 90 minutes is a long time. Anything can happen. So in terms of how you see it, right, like we're through 100%. I don't see it that way. Um, just game day. You got to go in there and yeah, play to win, play to win and
Only
manage
thing
the
that
game.
I think may hurt you is the fact that as much as they'll say, "Oh no, we're only worried about Copenhagen, we're not thinking about the Arsenal game," but I do think that that's the only thing that can potentially hurt you. Maresca and the players maybe having one eye on the Arsenal game in the weekend, and the fact that you play on Thursday, Maresca has to rotate a little bit to keep the players fresh for the weekend.
Mm,
Right? That's when you speak about game management, that's the only thing that worries me. Because as much as the players will say, no, we're only worried about Copenhagen, yada yada yada, all giving us all that corporate BS. Um, that's the only thing that I'd be concerned about if I was a Chelsea fan.
right. No, that's a good point. Uh,
Now moving on to a real European league. Barca at home to Benfica after winning 1-0, going down to 10 men super, super early away to Benfica. Do we see this result going in any way aside from a Barca victory?
Yeah, Barca got this.
Like, unless something crazy happens. I don't know, Laurent. What do you think?
I agree. To me, I think the reason why I would agree with that, despite the score just being 1-0, is the fact that you guys had X minutes, right, with a player extra on the field, and you guys did not produce much.
At home too.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
home.
So that's not a good look. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Inter welcome Feyenoord 2-0 up for Inter. I think this is just going to be another Inter masterclass. I don't think they're going to score that many. Um, maybe another one or two more goals because Feyenoord really do have to go for it. But I think Van Persie is going to try to avoid complete disaster and um, maybe play a little bit more defensive than he'd like. Do you guys see it any other way? Inter going through?
Nope.
Yeah. Inter. Yeah, I got my money on Inter.
Leverkusen, Munich. Game is in Leverkusen 3-0. I think we briefly touched on it in our
Yeah.
Thursday pod. And Laurent, because I said that this is going to be a breeze for Bayern, and you said that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Are you still on that train? Like, you still think it's going to be a difficult game for Munich?
I mean, given the scoreline now, yeah, no, that's I don't even know what the stats are on that. On comeback 3-0, second leg, right? I assume it's low win probability at that point.
I mean, they
Um,
have to score quick. The thing is, if Leverkusen scores within the first
yeah,
like 15-20 minutes.
without Bayern scoring, right?
Correct, correct.
That's
Yeah,
what
I'm yeah, like exactly to your point. Scoring within the first 15-20 minutes, keep it 3-1 until halftime, come out of half, score again without Bayern scoring. I think it's going to make an edgy game, but I don't know. There's just something about the way that Bayern dominated that game that I just don't think, unfortunately, I think Leverkusen's um, European nights are going to come to an end after this week.
mm,
What are your thoughts,
Well, I
CJ?
also don't give them a I also don't give them a chance because Florian Wirtz, I don't know if you guys heard, but he injured himself badly over the weekend as well. Florian Wirtz, who's a key player for Leverkusen,
mm,
so that's like an extra shot in the foot. You know, he's going to be out likely. So yeah, it's not looking good for them. But even if he was fit and they were fully fit, again, there's something to be said, in my opinion, about European pedigree that we've spoken about Real Madrid and how they have it. Bayern is not going to fumble a 3-0 deficit in the second leg. They have too much experience in European pedigree that's a comfortable enough result for them in the first leg that they'll just see this one through now for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good point.
Apparently, Xhaka and Tapsoba were taken off early too because they had a knock. So, but it does look like you're right, CJ. Furtz is going to be out. So again, makes it more difficult. Liverpool heading to Anfield with a 1-0 advantage over PSG. Um, thoughts? I know where my
Did you
thoughts
guys
are.
hear their players? I forgot who now. I should have captured this when I was reading it on it. But their players and their manager, everyone, like they're talking with a lot of smoke. PSG after the first tie, and they're saying, in Anfield, we're gonna go back and we're gonna win that game. Again, I forgot exactly who said it. I need to go find it and show you fellas, but it was crazy. I couldn't believe how confident PSG was. Like they really did believe that they should have won the first leg. So, easy to say all that talk after, right? You lose the game and it's like, nah, man, we should have won. Like they didn't deserve it, all this nonsense. And I'm like, man, where was that in the
Who
90 minutes?
who
PSG
said they
really
didn't
let us.
deserve it?
Some of the players, I mean, we can
I'll
post it on the
Like,
Instagram and we can post it in the
yeah,
group
wait,
chat, but
because
who has the nerve to play a game? You know what I mean? And go out like after you lose that game and say they didn't deserve it.
yeah,
Like the nerve of you, right? Like, what do you mean?
and that's why I
What
was
did they
surprised.
deserve?
And that's why I was surprised when I was
Like,
reading up on it. And like I said, the same player that I was reading up on is saying that they're going to go back to Anfield now, and they're confident that they're going to win the game. And I was like, oh shit! Like you're talking like that after you just lost? Like it's interesting, but yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy that that tie seems like it's got like a little bit of beef to it. And apparently, I don't know if you guys heard this as well. Van Dyke said something in the tunnel to one of the PSG staff. PSG staff was complaining about something. I think
the
complaining and
sporting
saying that
director. Yeah.
the sporting director Konate's foul on Barcola, was it?
Yep.
Should have been a red card. And in the tunnel, I think at halftime, Van Dyke said, "This is not League One, bro." So it's like, damn, like this is
of course. That's thank you,
this
man.
ties.
Like what?
Yo,
That's
Yeah,
the
man.
banter that
yeah.
we all love.
Yeah, no.
Oh, is Vitinha.
Yes, it was
It's
Vitinha.
Vitinha.
You see it,
Sorry, yeah,
right?
I'm fact checking right
Tell
now.
us, tell the viewers what was
Hold
said.
up.
Yes, Laurent,
It's
hear
not
this.
loading. Why is it not loading? Fuck's
Vitinha, I
sake.
can even find it right now. Vitinha's comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Here's
they're coming with
Vitinha's.
smoke. I said, "Jeez."
Yeah,
Yeah.
71% um possession. So, I mean, I don't blame them for saying something like that, but you lost the game. So he said Vitinha told Canal Plus after the final whistle, they scored on their only chance. It's tough, but now we're going to show them the team that we are. It's been a long time since we lost.
Yeah, of course, because you play in League One. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's been a long
Um,
time since you haven't won the
yeah.
League One. Like, come on, man. Like,
I wouldn't
uh,
have said that going back to Anfield. I think if it was reversed, like if it was, they only scored one at Anfield and they're coming back to Parc des France, maybe, but you're just made a hostile environment even more hostile. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
hey,
Those are
man.
things that you say in the dressing room. That's not the shit that you say to the media. So I think I don't know. My cousin's a huge Liverpool fan, and he thinks it's going to be a tough tie. I still think the Anfield factor is not being considered. I think it's going to finish 2-1 and 3-1 on aggregate for Liverpool.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
Let
he says,
yeah,
go
go
on,
on.
Laura. No, I was just gonna say the quote that I have or I see here is Vitinha says, "I remain optimistic. We had plenty of chances. We will play a great game and win in Liverpool."
Yeah,
Those are fighting words.
yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. But do you guys see it going any other
Laurent,
way?
I cut you off. Sorry, Laurent. Finish what you were gonna say.
No. I was just gonna say, I think these French guys, right? This French team, they have a bit of swagger about them. It's natural, right? Superstar team. To me, I think that's like right. It's a superstar team, right? on the back of high performance. Even Dembele, I think he's top goal scorer in that league
Yeah.
currently. Right, this is a guy who's been known to fumble chances back in his old club, right? So they have a good run of form, and yeah, so I think they feel like they're top dog, right? But they
I
have
mean,
to remember, right, that
they haven't
yeah,
lost
but
all year. But I know, no, no, it's a French league. I get it. I get it.
it's like you're a big fish in a small pond, right? And that's what they keep forgetting, right? That the pond gets bigger the moment you step out of once,
But the
right?
only thing to their defense that I will
Jeez,
say, the only thing I will say to their
Laurent.
defense, even though, even though
Yeah.
it's, even though it's the French league, they've only given up 24 goals. That's on par with Arsenal, and they've scored 70. Again, I know it's the French league, but having a solid defense, sometimes even when you're playing in a lesser talented league, is difficult. Keeping your head and making sure when you're up those when you're winning 4-3, 4-5-0 that you keep it a 5-0 rather than letting it going to a 5-1 or 5-2 and giving up stupid goals here and there. That's the only thing playing devil's advocate that I'll give them. Their goal differential is plus 46. So again, I
Yo,
get
me and
it. It's a
Laurent are
French
both
league.
thinking the same thing.
It's a
It's
French league.
League
I get
One,
it.
bro. That's it.
I
Let's
get it.
go.
No, no, no. I'm not. I'm just listen. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. I get it. I get it. Um, Another League One team, Lille, with their Jonathan David out of a contract this year. They're facing Dortmund, tied on the draw, 1-1. Um, this one's tough to call. I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna go. It is in Lille. I don't know. I don't know. Both teams.
I favor Dortmund in this case, given just pure experience in the Champions League. Um,
Yeah. If yeah.
but yeah, like it's like you're saying, I think it can go either way, but I do favor Dortmund.
DJ.
I'm not sure, because this one is away from home. Like this one is one of those ties that because the teams seem like they're so comparable and similar in terms of their like, their level at the moment, that I feel the second leg would always favor would be the X factor. The second leg being at whoever has the home ground. And in this case, second leg being in France at Lille's ground. I think that's what might give them the edge because to me, these two teams are so similar, I feel like and in terms of their level, that yeah, whoever will have the second leg in their home ground could make the difference. And in this case, it seems like Lille has that. However, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Dortmund somehow found their way through because they have that more of experience in the Champions League and they went to the final, not too literally just last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I want to go against the grain a little bit and go Lille because honestly, I feel like otherwise, I don't know about you guys, but if you guys take it in, we're basically saying that there's going to be no, upsets second round in the second leg of all these games, and that basically the teams that won the first leg are all pretty much going to go through in the second leg. And football doesn't always work like that, so it's interesting. But we predicted that so far every team that won the first leg is pretty much going to go through in the second leg. But who knows, man? We even us between the three of us, we could be wrong, and that's the beauty of football. That somewhere I feel like it's just not going to be as straightforward as how we're predicting it. Like somewhere along these lines, one of these teams is going to cause the upset and turn it
Well,
around. I don't know who
that
that will be, but
that's the team that we're coming to, and you guys are gonna laugh when I say this, but Club Bruges down 3-1. I don't
you think they'll
know.
turn it around against
I th-
Villa?
I think there's gonna be some nervy moments in Villa Park. They haven't had a Champions League knockout tie
Yeah,
in many, many years. And I'm
yeah.
not saying that Club Bruges is gonna come in and like win and just make it like a commanding win. Um, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if they take it to extra time. Because as
See,
much
this
as
is the one.
Villa, like they're up 2-3-1 and they're up 2-2 and they're heading at home, but I don't know. I don't know. There's just something about this tie that I'm like, it just makes you wonder.
This is the one I can't see being overturned simply because I was disappointed with Bruges in the first leg, um, and I think a two-goal deficit might be one step too many. Like that's too big of a mountain for them to climb. I feel like going into Villa's ground, and I do believe that you're right, Mehrdad, that Villa hasn't had a knockout tie in a Champions League in however long now. That it'll definitely be nervy, especially if Bruges get the first goal. But again, these are big ifs, right? Like I think for a club of Bruges' size and stature, respectfully, I can't see them having the character and the quality to turn around a two-goal deficit, especially after such a disappointing performance in their own ground in the first leg. So I don't see the upset coming here.
Last but not least, the Madrid Derby, going back to the Metropolitano. Atleti's down 2-1. Our new sporting director's ex-team. Uh, we're gonna face one of these teams, and oh shit.
Wait, who did you
See,
guys say
guys,
you guys
this
would rather face?
What?
Who did you guys say you guys
oh,
would
good
rather
question.
face?
Good question.
Who did I say I'd rather? Who did I say? I don't know. I keep going back and forth. It's either we
Same,
face.
but I think I've come up with my answer. But go, Mehrdad.
Yeah, I think my thought process is on CJ. You tell me if we're on the same wavelength. If we face Atleti, we're gonna face a team that understands how to win. And I know we can say the same about Madrid, but what I mean by a team that understands how to win is to win when they're not the best. They know how to win as a collective rather than individuals. They've had to do it in a league that's been dominated by the likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Bale, Suarez, Neymar. Mind you, they've had good players, but they've learned to win as a collective. Like the likes of Rodrigo, the Paul Jimenez. Um, they they just have that it factor. So for me, and then you look at it on the flip side, you got Real Madrid, just a team of superstars. You got Vinny Jr., you got Mbappe, you got Rodrigo, Bellingham, Tchouaméni. You can just keep going on and on and on. Um, I think Real's game style would suit Arsenal a little bit better. However, I just think the attacking brilliance, I just wouldn't want to risk it. The pedigree of Real Madrid, I just wouldn't want to risk it. I'd rather just take my chances with Atletico Madrid, knowing that Saka's going to be back and, being able to play a front three of potentially Saka, Wanyeri, Martinelli. For me, that's what I would say. But again, there's no real good option here because both teams have their strengths. And I think what Atleti does, they do it very well. And I think it's going to be very difficult for us either way.
Yeah. See, for me, I think as well, like going back and forth on this for a little bit, people were saying, both ties will have their, favorable moments for us, and playing Real Madrid will open up the spaces for us because Real Madrid will come out and attack us, obviously. So therefore, it'll play into our hands because we are good defensively, and therefore on the counterattack or so on and so forth, we'll have the spaces that we need to operate. Um, whereas, Atletico Madrid may not be as favorable because they play low block and they'll just stink out the game for 90 minutes and play defensively. And we all know how Arsenal struggle against low blocks right now. So Athletic may not be as favorable for us, but I don't care, man. I was debating on it for a long time. I forget it. I don't want to play Real Madrid, bro. Like, I don't want to. Did you guys see the goal that Vinny scored today? No, man. I don't want those guys coming up against us, man.
Yeah.
I Mbappe, Vinny, Rodrigo, Bellingham, like, yo, that's just too much quality, man. That's just too much for us.
That's
We're not ready for that
that's yeah.
smoke. We're not ready for that
Bro,
smoke, bro.
you guys
Like
have
Real
world
Madrid.
class defense. What do you mean?
No, but it's not. Listen, again, you keep. This is what people don't understand. It's not a matter of what we have. It's a matter of what we don't have. Everyone talks about what we have. Everyone talks about, oh, what if Liverpool dropped these X, Y, and Z points and then the point gap can go down to 8? Yeah, but you're saying in the event that Arsenal take advantage, your comment, well, we have a world-class defense. There is zero denying that we have world-class defense. We do not have a world-class forward line. We have
Yeah,
Bukayo
no.
Saka coming back from an injury. So if you're facing the likes of those three up top, and then you also add Jude Bellingham, Luka Modric, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, you know, Florian Mendy, like Valverde, they have Thibaut Courtois as well, like Rudiger, Alaba. You like if they score and we open up to try to score against them, they have that pace to beat us on the counter and then make it a 2-3 goal tie. That's what we don't have. Like if we had a little bit more balance, and I would say, yeah, sure. You know what? You're right. I put the money on our world-class defense, but I think the defense can hold them to like a 1 or 2-0, but I don't think that our offense can make up that at all. At all.
Yeah.
That's my point.
And also for me, it's like, bro, like at the end of the day, which I think is freaking bullshit, by the way, is that the second leg is in the Bernabeu. If we were to play Real Madrid, the second leg is in the Bernabeu. Like
Yeah.
it's bullshit because what the hell's the point of us finishing top eight? Like, you finish top eight, which means, it gets you seeded, right? So that shit only works for one round. Like in this round of 16 knockout round, we get the second leg at home, which favors Arsenal against PSV. But it should be like that throughout the whole tournament. Like, how does Real Madrid, or how would Real Madrid, if we potentially play them, how would they get the second leg at their ground? Like, that's not fucking fair. Like we finished higher in the seeding, we finished top eight. Real Madrid finished outside of the top eight, so they had to scrape to get through. Like, why? They should treat it like the North American system, to be honest with you, or like
Yeah.
the NBA system, where the higher seed gets the second, gets the game seven, for example, at home all the way throughout the tournament. Like, if you finish higher in the seeding, you should get your second leg at home all the way all throughout the tournament. Like, why did they fucking all of a sudden now Real Madrid potentially will have their second leg at their ground, or even Atletico if we play them? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
that's right. That's stupid. What the fuck was the point of that top eight seed? Like, what do we get for that? Only just for one round you get the second leg at home? That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I still think, yeah, I don't think personally Saka will be back for this tie. I think it'll come too soon for him. Like, again, we're not taking in how serious that injury was, so I'm not sure if Saka will even be back for this one. Personally, I think it might be too soon. But again, with all those variables being, second leg would be at the Bernabeu if we played Real Madrid. The variable of, Ancelotti versus Arteta, the master versus the novice, the world class players that they have psychologically, I feel like, that'll be like, the master level, master splinter that our players mentally are not ready for. Like, that'll be, I
Hmm.
think, just too much power, too much. We haven't psychologically, again, European pedigree, was something Arsenal lack. Um, we don't have that experience yet to deal with the top dogs. And I feel like Real Madrid could little bro us real quick. Like, they'll be like, yo, who are you guys in Europe? We're Real Madrid. We got the experience. We got the ballers. You guys have, respectfully, you guys have the young players who haven't been there, done that. You have the young coach who hasn't been there, done that. Like, I just feel like Real Madrid will beat us with experience in that tie. That's what it will
Yeah.
come down to. I think in the end would be too much for us. Whereas Atletico, I actually think we could stand a chance. Both teams could easily stink out that tie. Again, two defensive teams who, are very good at the back, low blocks, stink out the two ties for 90 minutes and nick a goal off a corner kick or something. Like, I think I fancy our chances a little bit more against Atletico. I don't think it would be the prettiest of ties because most
No.
teams, like I said, would be pretty,
Dark arts.
reserved. Yeah. But if we can nick a goal off of like a corner and hold out, or friggin' penalties, and I don't know, but I feel like we could sneak our way past Atletico easier than we could against Real. So I do favor us against Atletico, or I would prefer that. However, I will say, guys, out of all the rounds, out of all the ties that we've predicted in terms of who goes through, and I know we said like pretty much the teams that won the first leg are going to go through, and most, if not all, of these ties. This is the one tie I'm going to call right now. I think would be an upset, and I think even though Real Madrid won the first leg, I'm going to be a betting man and say that Atletico is going to go through in this one. I think somehow they might scrape past Real Madrid. So if I'm going to predict one tie to be overturned from the first leg, I am going to predict this one. I think Atletico could go through, or they might go through actually
Yeah. Put my
somehow.
parlay today. I put Barca to win, Inter to win. Um, I put Bayern to qualify, put both teams to score for Liverpool, PSG, both teams to score Lille, Dortmund. I put Bruges over 2 goals, sorry, over 1.5 goals. And then I put Atleti to win. So I agree
Yeah.
with you. I think,
But
yeah,
so you think Atleti will go through?
yeah, yeah.
Well, what do
So
you
wait,
think?
so where's all this Real Madrid pedigree now? Like, you know what I mean? Where like if you're
But there's no questioning their pedigree. It's not a question of their pedigree. It's a question of, you know, Di Simeone knows how to win these games.
Yeah, I was gonna say if anyone's gonna beat Real Madrid, it's their local rivals in a derby.
Yeah. It's a Simeone factor, right? We're talking about the pedigree versus Arsenal. We're not talking about like the pedigree with a coach that's been there for 10 plus years. He's the longest tenured coach in all of
mm,
European football right now. So,
And played against Real Madrid for how
yeah.
long now? I don't think Atletico fears Real Madrid personally.
No. I
Mm.
think they get up for that game.
Mm.
So it's not a question of the pedigree. It's a question of like this is the game that these players are gonna get up for.
That's a good point.
Um,
Good point.
Well, Laurent, what do you think about this tie? Gotta give us your thoughts.
Honestly, I see it the way you guys see it, to be honest. Even that scoreline 2-1, to me, it might as well be 0-0 for any of these
yep.
teams. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Yeah, no. I think it's gonna be a very, very close game. Edge on your seat type thing. Which is what I'm hoping for, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I think it's safe to say, boys, that's the tie that we all have our eyes on this week.
Oh yeah.
Despite not only because they may be, or they're going to be Arsenal's opponents, but just that's going to be a cracking second leg, I think.
Yeah. Well, one game we really won't be tuning in that much is the PSV Arsenal game. Um,
Shit, I literally forgot about that.
yeah. So we're on to our predictions. Um, no one guessed the 7-1 for the first leg. Um, typically I started with you guys, but I will start my prediction first. I think it's going to be a 3-0 to the Arsenal, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. Raheem Sterling scores.
yeah. That's crazy. I mean, is he even gonna get minutes? Like the camera was like on him. In today's game, I don't know
Listen,
if you guys noticed that. The guy
listen.
was off the
Yeah,
bench like
yeah.
this.
He is
I've
cheese.
already been recorded saying this. I think Raheem Sterling scores. What do you guys think? What's your prediction? You don't need to say a player that scores. That's just me trying to give him some confidence.
I'm glad you called that out, Laurent. Like, how sad is it, bro? You need a fucking goal, and your forward is sitting on the bench, and your third left back comes in the game before your forward. Like, what a joke. Anyways, um, 2 on Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
Write that down.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game. For one, on PSV side, they're going to do everything to damage control. Like to them, right? Yeah, corporate BS. They probably, yeah, we're still in it, right? The tie's still there, right? But no one wants to go out getting more, more embarrassed than they already are, right? So I think they're going to be playing a defensive game. They're just going to try to, minimize the damage. They're not going to go for the win in that sense. So it's not going to be high scoring. I'd probably say 1-0, 2-0 Arsenal.
Which
Who
one?
knows?
1-0 or 2-0?
Okay, you gotta pick one.
This guy.
I'll go 1-0, 1-0 Arsenal.
1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, another one's in the books, fellas. We got the international break coming up. I think international break, me and the boys were chatting. We're gonna break down Andrea Berta a little bit more, go into some of the signings that's been rumored already, and give one signing that each of us believe that Arsenal could use to impact. And we're gonna try not to keep it to players that we potentially have already signed, a la Martin Zubimendi, but just a different type of profile. Um, and then we'll see you guys. I don't know before let everyone go, but Thursday's pod's gonna come out Friday morning. We'll review everything. Um, I don't know, fellas, am I missing anything? Anything else you guys want to add for the closing thoughts?
Hit the like and subscribe, people. That's it.
That's the only way we're gonna be able to buy Laurent a Chelsea kit. The more you like, the more you subscribe, the more views, listens we get.
Get the guy a poor kid to support his own club, man. Jeez.
Like we're
That's
gonna put
cute.
a GoFundMe page for Laurent.
That's cute. It's real cute. Real cute. Real cute. But
Sir,
on that note, make sure to, to the fans at home, tune into that conference league game, and watch your club.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, man.
oh fuck. On
The
that bombshell. See you guys Friday. Adios.
peace.